rewatching the films of Martin Scorsese, and people are like, "So what?" That's that old guy that hates Thanos.
He is the old guy that hates Thanos.
He said Thanos is a cuck and Kevin Feige is a mid.
He did admit, though, Iron Man does have Briz.
1, 2, 3, 4.
These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit in their box. Yeehaw! Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. Just don't tell my wife. If it's got more than one explosion, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. These fellers here are the Oscar Wieners.
Yum.
Oscar Wieners.
Welcome to Oscar Wieners,
Welcome.
the only show on the internet where Hollywood's biggest night doesn't allow guns in the town. And we're gonna kind of beat you up if you keep the guns, English Bob.
This episode's just for English Bob.
Yeah, this is
If you're
an English
listening.
Bob cast. I am Money.
And I am Dusty Dennis.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's my cowboy name.
Um,
Here comes Dusty Dennis, you hear?
well, I'm Michael, actually. I'm not
Oh,
Money.
okay. Oh, well, I'm Ander then. As long
Okay.
as we're dropping the facade.
And this is a podcast where every week we talk about a Best Picture winner at random and try to figure out if it's Best Picture worthy. And this week we're talking about the 1993 Best Picture winner, Unforgiven, directed by and starring Clint Eastwood.
There he is, baby.
Even I think, you know, the main theme, the like kind of guitar, like ding, ding, ding,
Don't tell me. That's him?
I think so.
Honestly,
He's quietly an auteur.
he's quietly like
Like he's
it's a little egomaniacal, if you ask me. Like I think a lot of the movie is a little bit like him honking his own horn.
Interesting. Okay. I think he's egomaniacal, but I also think I don't know if he'd gotten here when he was making this movie, but I feel like in recent years, actors talk about his process, like actors who work with him, and they're sort of like, yeah, he does like one take, and I saw an interview with Matt Damon where he's like, he did one take, and he was like, hey Clint, can we do that again? I just feel like I could do it better the second time. He's like, why would we waste everybody's time? We got it. Move on. And it's like, that's insane.
That I do respect. I like that. I like somebody who's got a process. I think it's interesting.
But it's like he's egomaniacal, but also like seems to not care at the same exact time.
Yeah. And I think that adds up to this movie, I'll be honest.
Holy shit. This episode's gonna be saucy.
Okay. Why, you really like this? I like it too. I'll come at the top and say I think Unforgiven is a good movie.
This is my favorite movie we've covered so far. I've seen it
Really?
a number of times.
Okay.
I think this is it's in my Letterboxd review, but I think it's like one of the most perfectly constructed movies like of all time.
All right, cool.
Especially at
cool.
a script level, I think it's like just impeccable.
All right.
So this movie is about a town called Big Whiskey in Wyoming.
Yeah, pretty cool town name.
Yeah, it is a cool town name. Sheriffed by Little Bill, played by Gene Hackman.
Gene.
He's back.
Gene!
I told you we can't get away from him.
He's everywhere. He's in
everywhere.
everything.
What's
that's
crazy
insane.
too, this movie came out 21 years after The French Connection. He basically looks the same.
Looks exactly the same.
But like he's like a little doughier, but he basically looks the same.
That's insensitive, okay?
No, he's just like a little. He's getting
great.
old.
He looks good. He looks
he's
good.
a little doughy.
Cut him some slack. So what? It's fine.
I think he looks good.
He's got a little meat around the middle. It's okay.
I would take Little Bill, the character, on a date. I don't think he does anything wrong in the movie, really.
In the movie? Little
Yeah, I
Bill?
stand by every decision he makes.
Okay, okay, we're being sarcastic. I see.
Um, so big whiskey
Wait a
movie
second,
opens.
Little Bill? Like
Yeah.
the Bill Cosby vehicle?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm just putting this together, but I just heard the voice ringing in my head, Little Bill! Or is that Little Bear? Anyway,
No, Little
I
Bill's
assume,
right.
okay, I assume they're not associated with Cosby or his
No, this
his
is
misdoings.
Unforgiven is a prequel to
Okay.
the Little Bill Cosby show.
Okay, now it makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So Big Whiskey is a town in Wyoming. When the movie opens, these sort of cowboys who have come into town to play a game of billiards, aka have sex with sex workers.
They say play billiards?
That's what they call it.
That's like the euphemism?
It seems like the town doesn't. They know what's going on, but they don't acknowledge that like there's sex work happening out of this billiards saloon. So these two cowboys, one of them, because I guess she laughs at his little pecker being small, he slices her face up.
Damn.
Let's see. The women of the place want these cowboys hanged. Little Bill's like, nah.
Little Bill's like, what are you gonna do? He kind of like lets it go.
All the women here, let's pool our money together. Let's put out like a bounty on these guys. Hire an assassin to kill these two fuckers. They pool
put
like
out a big
$1,000
bounty
together. Yeah.
So now a bunch of folks, bunch of bounty hunters hear about this large bounty. They're gonna roll into town. They're gonna try and kill these two dudes. Little Bill's not having any of it. He wants no guns in his town. He wants no violence in his town. He doesn't want any of that shit going down in his town. So anybody who kind of comes and sets foot in Big Whiskey, Little Bill's got something to say about it. Enter
Correct.
Will, which is confusing.
Will Money, played by Clint Eastwood, the titular Eastwood.
Will Money, baby.
Man of Republican National Convention mainstay.
Yes.
Talking to imaginary Obamas.
Aren't we all?
He's an old school, like he was like a murderous son of a bitch back in the day.
Yeah.
He married a woman. What's her? Claudia. His wife's name is Claudia. She passed away 2 years before the movie starts. They have two kids. Will lives on this like he runs like a pig farm. He's not very good at it. This kid, the Schofield kid, played by fucking James Wolvitt, wants to take out this bounty and go kill those two cowboys who cut up Delilah, or the one who cut up Delilah and the other one who was his partner. And he goes to Will Money because Will Money is notorious
for being
around,
badass.
it seems, the entire, if not the whole country, the whole West, of just like, this guy, if you want somebody killed, you got to go to Will Money because he
kills folks.
The best killer there ever was, the most ruthless killer there ever was.
Cool reputation.
And Will Money is like, I'm done. Those days are over. I got cured of drinking. I got cured of killing. Claudia cured me.
Yes.
I'm just a pig farmer now.
That's
heard
nice.
of it?
But of course he's got to come in for one last job.
Yeah.
He's looking at his farm. He's looking at his two filthy little grubby little children. And he's like, I got to get some money somehow. So this bounty's $1,000. Let's see if we can get my hands on that.
Imagine getting $500 being like, I'm rich.
I mean, you kind of were back then, right? I mean, if you think about, you're out in the West, $1 goes a long way.
Yeah.
Plus inflation, $500 is like having like $5.8 billion or something.
Your inflation estimates are insane.
I think I'm pretty. It's like 5.8, 5.7 billion or something. It's a lot of money.
I feel like I'm taking too long in the synopsis. Basically, the Schofield kid, eventually Will Money goes along with the Schofield kid. Along the way, he hitches up. He invites his old pal Ned, played by Morgan Freeman, along. They were old partners back in the Killing days, and the three of them go off to find these two cowboys. And meanwhile,
other folks are strolling into town trying to claim this
Gene
bounty.
Hackman's fucking around in Big Whiskey with the guy, the would-be assassins.
Gene Hackman is fucking around in Big Whiskey.
Ander Do you like westerns?
I do like westerns. I do. Yeah. I like,
You
well,
you
I mean, I haven't
famously
seen very many movies in general, but I love The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I think Clint Eastwood's an exceptional actor. I think he's found his niche, and I think he's really, really good at it.
you you've already kind of hinted at it. What was your experience watching this film? You never seen it before.
I thought it was really good. The whole no, it is really good. The whole thrust of it is that it subverts your expectations, which I do appreciate. It goes away from the traditional Western, and it tries to put in perspective the excess amounts of killing and death, and like tries to really add some weight to death in general. Like it's not easy to kill somebody. You have this young kid in Schofield Kid who's trying to brag about his killings. You know, it's glorified like it's glorified in a lot of Western movies. And then you have this older guy in Will who's like, killing's not that great. I feel haunted by the things that I did. And I think it's a nice change of pace for Westerns. Like usually in a Western, it's just shootouts and folks doing badass shit. And this is different. Like these guys are kind of incompetent, right? Like they're just kind of riding through the wood. He can't get on his horse. Schofield Kid is, he's blind. He like tries like shooting at them and like can't shoot past 50 yards. Like,
Yeah,
and I like that. I think it's interesting. All the while you got, Little Bill who's out in fucking Big Whiskey just knocking heads and taking names because he's trying to protect these two gentlemen who now have this big bounty on their head, and folks are coming into town. English Bob rolls in.
Played by Richard Harris.
What do you think about English Bob?
I was wondering what you thought of this section of the movie, because I do feel like I could see somebody watching this movie and being like, why are we spending so much time with English Bob? And then also, why are we spending so much time with like Little Bill, like beating the shit out of English Bob and talking to his biographer while English Bob is imprisoned?
Well, I mean, as soon as they introduced a character named English Bob who
Who
doesn't
really thinks you should kill the president.
Yeah, doesn't care for the president, really thinks that we should have a king and queen. You can tell this is a Clint Eastwood movie. You can tell that dude's going to get the absolute shit beat out of him, right? Like, I was just like, this dude is a goner for sure.
He's like, he doesn't respect authority.
He doesn't respect the American way.
I'm going to show him a thing or two.
And, yeah, he is not successful. They take away his guns immediately upon entering the town. He's built up as this big badass. He shoots a bunch of pheasants or whatever and is like, I'm a cool guy. He has this biographer rolling around with him who's like documenting his whole stories, who's enamored with him. And basically the legend of English Bob gets broken down by Little Bill, who's basically like captures him, throws him in jail, beats the hell out of him. And as like all this shit that he said happened, it didn't really happen that way. He's not that cool. He's kind of a wuss. He's kind of a lame-o. And then this biographer starts listening to Little Bill, who's, I guess, cooler.
But then what I love is that biographer starts believing Little Bill. And I think Little Bill's full of shit too. I think every person in this movie is full of shit who is like, I think Ned and Will are the only characters in the movie who first of all, when people bring up their histories to them, they're like, I don't really remember. I don't know. Like they don't claim the reputation that people have of them, because they don't like it, especially Will. It's because like, I killed all these people. I don't want that to be my legacy. I don't want to be that person.
I don't think Little Bill is full of shit. I feel like he's kind of telling the truth. Just because it's in that jail cell scene, he's telling his story, and it kind of cuts back to English Bob, who's beaten and bloody, and he's got like this grimace on his face, like, oh, the truth is coming out, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the sense that I got from that.
I think Little Bill's telling the truth about English Bob to a degree, but I think
he's building himself up too much.
Yeah, because then there's that scene in Little Bill's house that is leaking, where the biographer's listening to him, and he's like telling
this subplot. Why is there this? What is that? Why do we have this subplot of Little Bill building a house
and he sucks at it?
I would have cut that. I think the jail cell thing is essential. The English Bob part, I think that's crucial to the theme of the movie.
Right. I think the house stuff is like character, like some shading, it's giving the character something else other than just being like a sheriff. But also
I guess.
I think the movie, this is why the script is so good, is like there's all these little things that point to characters, the ways like their deficiencies, the ways that they are not as good as they say they are or claim to be.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, because he's like,
like
oh,
he's like, I
look
built
at
this
me, I
house
did this by
myself.
myself. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's like,
and then
it's
like
leaky and
it's
people.
full of leaks. It
Yeah,
sucks. This
yeah,
house kind of sucks. Like the structure's, I guess, okay. It's not falling down, but like the house itself kind of sucks.
right.
Which to me is like why you can't really believe anything he says.
Okay, that's a good point.
It's like this guy's inflating his own sense of self, just like all these other fucking men in this movie are.
Right. You true. You true, dog. You true.
There's also like a what I love about see, I've seen this movie before, so I know that the Schofield kid never killed anybody before.
I mean, I could tell from the rip, dude. I feel like that
See,
was
I think
so
that's
obvious.
that's the joke, is just like I feel like Ned and Will are sort of like, oh yeah, 5 people, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
He's like, I
that's
kill 5 people. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. He's killed 5 people. All right, whatever.
Will's character, the whole movie up until the end is like, um, I'm not that person anymore who could just like kill people. I'm not a killer anymore. He keeps saying it, and it's like
Mhm.
doth protest too much. This is not
Yeah, he
there's you
keeps.
you,
It's
you
like
are
we
this
get it.
person.
I,
Yeah.
like we get it. Death is bad. Like at some point, I'm just like, okay, are we done with this now? Like I get the theme. I'm not 2 years old. Like I'm an adult. I understand what's happening here. I understand what you're trying to say, Clint Eastwood. Like death is bad, and and we put too much weight into it with all the, we glorify it too much and all this stuff. Like by the end of the movie, they say it explicitly, like 8 different times, and I'm like, that's enough. We had the jail cell scene where Little Bill gives the biographer the gun and is just like, go ahead, shoot me. Like, you can't do it. That was such an impactful scene. You could have stopped right there. And, like, I would have gotten the theme of the movie. But instead, you have Will dicking around and being like, no, killing is bad. And it haunts me all the time. And then Schofield Kid is like, I shouldn't have shot that guy while he was pooping. I'm like, oh, my God.
First of all, offensive impression. Offensive impression.
It was pretty accurate, though. You gotta admit, it's pretty close.
I don't really care about that guy dying because he sucks,
Yeah.
but I think it's more of like how the killing affects the Schofield kid, which is
Right.
interesting. Because it's like he's like, I'm never gonna kill again. That was haunting.
That's where I was like, that's where I was done. That's where I threw in the towel. That line specifically, because he was like, I'm never gonna kill again. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I get it. I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Honestly, they could have just left it off with him just like, because he starts with like kind of bragging about it. He's like, man, that was so cool, but like you can tell he's like kind of choked up and like not really
He keeps
believing the
drinking.
things.
He keeps drinking like the bottle of whiskey
Yeah.
they have.
They should have left it at that. Like that was subtle enough where it's like, as the audience, I understand what's happening. Like his bravado is kind of false. He doesn't need this whole like open up moment where he's like, hey, Will, that was my real first kill. Like, we know, dude. Like, you're not experienced with this thing. Like, we can tell from context clues. You didn't need to like spell it out for us like we're 5 years old.
That's a good point. At the same time, though, I like it because I like how Clint Eastwood plays off of him, where he's just watching one of the women. Because Ned's been killed. They don't know that yet, though. This woman is
Right.
coming to tell them that information and also give them the money for the killings of the two cowboys that they promised them. So he's watching this woman from Big Whiskey, like far in the distance, come on horseback, and he's just watching her. He's not looking at the Schofield kid. The Schofield kid is having like this very like he's like breaking down. He's like, oh my God, this is like horrible. I'm never doing this again. I never killed anybody. There's the truth. And Clinty's like, Will Money is just like,
Whatever.
he's just sort of like, yeah. And he's like, and then the Schofield kid kind of justifies like killing the guy in the outhouse because he's like, well, he had it coming. And then Clint Eastwood's like, we all have it coming, kid. I'm like,
Damn.
that's really good.
Yeah, that is a good line. But like, he also doesn't do anything. Like, him and Ned both can clearly tell that this is a young version of them who's like who's basically set up to screw up his own life, and they don't really do anything to help him or steer him in a different direction. They're just kind of like, whatever, yeah, you come with us, we'll split it 3 ways, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
like it's low-key their fault that he is now faced with this lifetime trauma of killing somebody.
that's interesting. I wonder if it's just like he's the one that invited them on the job, so it's like,
I guess
this is your
like,
thing.
You can tell that he could tell from the get-go that this is not his thing. Like, he's so unaffected by everything braggadocious that he says. Like, you can tell that he's like, yeah, this kid is so inexperienced and green, like, but we're just gonna carry on because I don't really care. I just needed 500/250, or I guess
to get to San Francisco to be a dry goods salesman.
And who cares? Am I right? I mean, if you want to jump to that point, this movie has the 2 worst opening and closing crawls I've ever seen.
Oh, I love them.
Pointless.
I love the syntax of them. I think it's so beautiful.
So stupid. They center around a character who doesn't exist. We don't know who. It's what's her face's mom.
It's Claudia's
It's a
mom.
character. His wife, who, by the way, you didn't remember the name of.
First
so
of all,
she's so
calm
important.
down,
It's
lower
her
your
mom.
voice.
Like, who cares about her? It's such a tertiary character, and this is we're dedicating screen time to this.
What I love about the opening and closing crawl is
dumb.
Both of them are sort of from the perspective of the mom, like in words where she's like, I don't understand why my daughter ran off with this guy. And it's like, yeah, we don't really understand. Like, as the viewer, we're sort of like, I do think this movie is like really ambiguous about if we can actually change who we naturally are. It's like, Will, your smirk.
Some years later, Miss Ansonia Feathers made the arduous journey to Hodgman County to visit the resting
good.
place
I love
of
the
her
fucking.
daughter.
It's to me, it's like, can we change who we naturally are? Will Money is a killer. He's sort of predisposed to just murder for just temperamentally. And he tries to leave it behind, and he can't.
It's just another example of shit being spelled out to us when it didn't have to be. Like, we can glean it from character and context clues.
I do love a movie that hammers a point home.
You just like it because you like Star Wars.
Huh?
You just like The Crawl because you like Star Wars. Admit it.
This script, written by David Webb Peoples, he co-wrote Blade Runner. That's probably what he's most that is what he's most known for. I don't know if he's a good writer other than, but this is you're gonna want to punch me in the mouth. To me, this is like Harper Lee writing one book and being like, I'm done.
Oh, it is not.
To me, it's like, you write a script this perfect, this pristine. I don't really care what else you write or make. It doesn't matter. Nothing can tarnish this. I think this thing is bulletproof. No pun intended.
Not to me. I don't know. It's good. It's a good script. There are impactful lines.
Don't just say it's good.
It's good. Like, it's not a masterpiece like To Kill a Mockingbird, but I think it's good. It does a little too much to hammer home the themes that I already understand.
I think you do a little too much to hammer home the themes that I already understand.
That insults me, and you know it. That hurts. That cuts too deep.
You're a good friend, and sometimes you're such a good friend that I'm like, all right, I get it. You're a good friend. I get the theme of your life is friendship, okay? Fucking chill out.
Dude, I'm getting us both t-shirts that say the theme of my life is friendship.
That's really good.
Sorry, I won't rip on it too hard, because I actually do. I mean, I like the script. I like this movie. I just think maybe it's.
I don't think you're making
being your rival a little bit.
Yeah, that's good content. I don't think you can rip on the movie.
Okay, good, because I also have one other problem.
The movie's racist, sexist. It doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
I mean, it probably doesn't pass the Bechdel
it definitely
test,
doesn't.
But William Money and Little Bill, I like them as characters. How am I supposed to believe them as rivals when they don't interact until 2 hours into the movie? I didn't really like that. I thought I needed something more from them to believe. Like, I guess they killed Ned, and that kind of escalates things. But I still am. I have to believe like this guy Will, who's like the whole movie is like killing is bad, and I'm just gonna do it this one time because I'm not my old self and blah blah blah. Why is he so spurred by this man, Little Bill? Like, what about him pushes him to the point where he's like, now I'm just gonna chug whiskey and murder all y'all? Like, why does he get to that point?
I think to me, that's why they might be two sides of the same coin is like, I think there's like an ideological and like thematic difference between them where it's like, because I was thinking about it as you were literally saying what you just said, like Little Bill, you seem to believe him slightly more about when he's telling stories of like the old days or whatever. We never see him though shoot anybody. We only see him beat the shit out of people who are unarmed and like kind of at his mercy.
That's true. That's a good point.
And it's like he kind of parades around like he's like a big fucking tough guy. And then in comes Will Money, who is like, he's the guy who like, he's like the actualization of the stories all these men are telling about themselves and each other. It's like, he's the guy who actually has done it. He's already kind of going down a decline of like reverting to his old self. But once he hears Ned dies, he's like, okay, I'm going to that town and killing all these fuckers. I don't care.
How does he get away with? Plus, I guess it's like the no guns policy, right? Because are those guys armed? Maybe not.
I wasn't even thinking about that. That's true. I was also thinking though, you know, of that scene like you already talked about where Little Bill is talking about, Gene Hackman actually pops in as himself for a second. It's crazy. Little Bill is talking to the biographer about how hard it is to actually kill somebody and how most people cannot do it. Like most people can't pull the trigger. And I was like, what's so good about that scene is I'm thinking about it in the scene, the final shootout is I'm like, all these people might be armed. I mean, maybe they aren't because you are right. But like maybe they're armed, but maybe they're like, I don't know. I don't want to like kill a guy. Like I have a gun, but I'm not going to go shoot somebody.
Okay. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah. And I think what's so good about that shootout is it really straddles the line between like, I do want Little Bill and his fucking goons to be killed. I think they suck.
Yeah, they do suck.
I want fucking Tiny. What's the guy? Skinny? The guy that owns...
Skinny sucks. Yeah.
I'm like, fucking kill him. I don't care.
Yeah,
he
shoot
sucks.
that guy. Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like Will is literally reverting to like his old like devilish ways and like this is actually a character turn that is not ultimately good for like his soul.
It's very dark. Like I get that he goes home and prospers in dry goods or whatever, but like that
he sells oats.
In San Francisco, which is fine, I guess, but like his family life is definitely is shattered now, right? Like how is he gonna be a legitimate parent to those kids? He let down his wife. How's he gonna live with that guilt? He's probably maybe he reverts to drinking. That's kind of my vision of him.
Right. It's one of the, it's like, I don't know. Is it like every like 10 years? Cause I think he says he was married to Claudia for about like 10 or 11 years or something like that.
What? I'm trying to crunch those numbers.
I mean, cause the son,
she dies at 29. So she's maybe like 19. Okay.
From now on, like every 10 years, is he going to have to like get murder out of his system and just like kind of go on like a fucking killing spree? You know, like is he...
My guess is no, but I think he probably takes to heavy drinking to maybe like try and process that guilt.
Right.
Like if that one, I wonder how many people Will Money has killed. Like what if all the stories about him are overblown because we tend to because that's part of it too. Like
that's true. But there is that really good scene where the Schofield kid is like, did you really kill like two guys that whatever? He's asking Will. And then like later on, Will and Ned are riding like side by side by the Schofield kids, either behind or ahead. And Ned's like, wasn't there 3 guys? And he's like, I don't remember.
Oh, okay. So he did. Yeah. So he did kill a lot of guys.
Yeah.
There was a point in the movie where I was just like, what if the one guy that haunts him, maybe that's the only guy he's ever killed, and he's not really this badass.
This movie, it's such an interesting movie because I feel like as that's why I think it's an interesting deconstruction of like not only just like American westerns, but like also just like violence on screen because you're
Yeah.
like the ending is such an interesting like the final shootout because you're like again you want to me for me I'll speak for myself I want it to happen I want him to kill these guys because I don't like them
Mhm.
but the movie makes such a good case that like even if you kill people who are like undesirable people who like do bad things
Mhm.
it's still not good you're
Yeah,
still
still
haunted by
not
it like
good.
killing a person always takes a toll on like your fucking soul
Right. It means they get no redemption arc. You've basically failed them for themselves forever, which
right
is a
you're like
weight to
playing
bear.
God yeah
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, like it's funny like if you like I watched Tombstone recently for the first time.
I saw you log that
And it's
I
like,
never seen it
the ending of that movie and the ending of this movie are like a little bit similar in that there's a big shootout and it's like but your reaction to it is completely different. In Tombstone, I'm just like, yeah, get him. Like that was
right
awesome. That was epic. And in this movie, I'm just like, oh no, this man is ruined for life.
you know, it's like Clint Eastwood, an old guy who was in a lot of famous westerns, is making a movie about an old guy who was once like a western outlaw doing it again and like kind of one last time.
Yeah.
Um, and it's sort of like, are all those things I did good? Like the way I was sort of, it's almost like was
Interesting.
the way I was kind of a hero on screen. Is that good though?
Like a referendum on himself in real
Yeah,
life.
yeah. It's like is I wasn't those violence is not good.
Yeah. Like you guys know
Um,
that, right? Hey, hey
yeah,
guys, hey audience, you guys know like violence is bad, right? I like we're having fun here. This is all for show. This is like a stage performance. I'm not killing these people. Don't do this. Don't
yeah.
emulate me.
Do you think this movie's best picture worthy?
No. Well, I don't know. If it's the best, I didn't see a lot of movies from 1992 or whatever, but I thought it was a good
Really?
movie. Yeah, believe it or not. Um, I did think it was interesting that it does seem to fall into the category of movies that the Academy likes because it's a commentary on movies. And I think that kind of gave it the edge. Like I don't know if I feel like that's what earned it the recognition in my mind.
Yeah, it is very much like an exploit. It's like really like let's pick apart the Western genre.
Yeah. So I'll take that
It's
back. I'll
true.
say yeah, this is Oscar worthy until I, I see some other movies from 1992 that I like. So I don't
Right.
know.
Um,
Sorry, folks. I'm not
I think
well
it's,
informed.
I think this movie is a fucking masterpiece.
Cool. Love that. Who went up against it? Who went toe to toe with this guy? With Clint, with Big C,
The Big Easty.
the Big East.
I want to call a little attention to somebody who wasn't a movie that wasn't nominated that year. A movie I might
Flubber.
Flubber. We have Flubber. Patch Adams.
What's that?
That's a movie where Robin Williams plays like a goofy doctor to like
Oh,
sick
that's not the movie
kids.
you're thinking of.
Huh?
That's not the movie you're about to mention and give an
No,
honorable
no,
mention
no.
to. Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
uh, Spike Lee's biopic of Malcolm X, titled Malcolm X, starring Denzel Washington, came
Oh, okay.
out 1992. I I've seen Unforgiven a bunch of times. I've only seen Malcolm X once, but it was, you know, a very overwhelming experience. I think that movie is like just fucking I just like I don't know. That movie's like incredible. I think
Uh-huh.
it's like in the ways that Unforgiven is so muted and like quiet, Malcolm X because Spike Lee is like a very like energetic filmmaker. It's just like full of like energy, but also it's like very politically like interesting, especially for a major studio. It was a Warner Brothers movie to make Malcolm X. Like when you watch it, there's just like literally very long stretches of Malcolm X like talking about like how racist shit is and like I don't know. It's just very
I
interesting.
mean, that's cool.
Obviously, I can't speak very eloquently about it, but
Not
it's a very good
nominated?
movie. I recommend people see it because it fucking rules. And it wasn't even nominated for Best Picture.
Damn.
The Academy often does Spike Lee dirty because the
Did him
Academy
dirty.
likes easy narratives about white exceptionalism. uh, I will say Denzel.
Hold on, I'm getting a call from the Academy right now.
So first up, Unforgiven obviously wins. Next up, we have The Crying Game. Have you ever played it?
Have I played it? No.
Yeah.
I played it just last night, actually. Into my pillow, yeah.
That's really... Are you okay?
I'm fine, dude. Move on.
All right.
Is this a romance? Is it a bromance?
I think it might be a bromance. Let's see. Irish Republican Army member Fergus
Okay. It's not where I
forms an
thought.
unexpected bond with Jody, a kidnapped British soldier in his custody, despite the warnings of fellow IRA members Jude and McGuire.
Oh, okay.
Jody makes Fergus promise he'll visit his girlfriend Dill in London.
Okay.
And when Fergus flees to the city, he seeks her out. Hounded by his former IRA colleagues, he finds himself increasingly drawn to the enigmatic and surprising Dill.
So what is it? Is it like a wartime thing? Is it a
I
romance?
guess it's like the IRA captures a British soldier, and then the British soldier's like, "Hey, IRA Fergus, can you go visit my girlfriend? Because that's a normal thing that people request." And he does it, and they, I guess, probably have sex and fall in love or something.
5 stars.
A Neil Jordan picture. I'd watch that. Sounds
Sure.
Interesting, I guess. Is it Unforgiven? No. Next up, we have A Few Good Men.
Really?
You can't handle this nom.
I really like that movie.
Oh, have you seen it? I've never seen it.
Yeah, I have seen it.
Okay.
Yes, this is what. Okay, interesting.
Reverse,
the
reverse.
turns have tabled, my friend. Yeah, I have seen it.
Sell me on A Few Good Men.
It's fucking awesome. It's really good. It's like a great drama. Tom Cruise is really good. Jack Nicholson's in it. Pretty much almost exclusively for the climactic scene of it. And the whole movie is worth it for that scene alone. I would give that the Oscar. I like that better than Unforgiven. I think that's a really good movie.
All right. It's one of those movies that's like so famous, but I just never got around to it. I got to get around to it.
No, there's a lot of
Rob
movies out
Reiner
there.
picture written by Aaron
Rob
Sorkin.
Schneider?
Yeah, Rob Schneider. You ever heard of fucking Deuce Bigelow? That guy directed A Few Good Men.
Wow. Such depth. But yeah, it's a courtroom drama, a military courtroom drama. You want me on that wall, you need me on that wall. You know what I'm saying?
You actually
can't handle the truth.
I'm not joking. You say you want me on that wall, you need me on that wall kind of a lot. And I've been meaning to talk to you about it.
I could, I'm not trying to flex. I could probably recite that whole monologue.
That is kind of cool. Do you want to try right now or no?
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, I'll give it a whirl.
Okay.
So, I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. Son, we live in a world that has walls.
And those walls
we men
have
with
to be
guns to
guarded by
protect
men
those
with
walls.
guns. Who's gonna do it? You,
Lieutenant Michael
Weinberg?
I have a greater responsibility than you could possibly fathom.
You
weep for little Bill. You curse the Marines. You have that luxury.
You
the
have
luxury of not knowing what I
know. That
That little Bill's death, while tragic, probably saved lives. And my existence, while grotesque and incomprehensible to you, saves lives. We use words like honor, code,
loyalty.
We use these words as the backbone of a life spent defending something. You use them as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a man who rises and sleeps under the blanket of freedom that I provide, and then questions the manner in which I provide it. I'd rather you just said thank you and went on your way. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you're entitled to. And then Tom Cruise is like, can I stand up for a second?
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is, I have so many wires. Tom Cruise is like, did you order the code red?
I did the job.
Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did. So,
I didn't realize this was your favorite movie ever made.
It's fine, I guess.
Were you reading that off your screen?
No, I
That's
really do know it.
insane. That's a long speech. That's not just like I'll have what she's having or Luke, I'm your father.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think I saw this for the first time in high school, and I was like, I gotta know that scene.
That's such a thing. I did the same thing. Do you remember the evolution of dance, the like viral video in like 2007?
It's so weird you said that. I watched that again like 2 nights ago. It like
Probably
popped
doesn't
up in
hold
my
up,
feed,
right?
and I was like, oh, it does. I
Oh, it does.
disagree. Yeah,
It does. Okay.
I think it does hold up. I was
I
like,
haven't
this is
seen it.
amazing. The fact that somebody did this. It needs an update because that was probably like 12 years ago.
Right.
There's
They
been
need the
plenty of
stanky
dances
leg
now.
in there.
I think this. Yeah, I mean there are plenty of other ones too. Stanky leg is kind of an old
Gangnam
reference.
Style, I guess.
Still kind of an old reference.
What?
Gangnam Style is also a pretty old reference, so you're kind of showing your age there. But
I'm a
in
fucking
fact,
millennial.
you got a couple grays in there. I see.
Yeah, I know. I dye them.
I dye them teal so I don't forget that I'm old.
I'll say to my kids, look at my teal.
It's all your whole head. Your whole head's teal. They're like, Grandpa, why is your head teal? It's always been that way. That's how I know I'm old.
As I'm like eating fucking prune juice or whatever, drinking prune juice.
Yeah.
I memorized the evolution of dance though, to impress girls.
No way.
So
did it work? First of all, that is impressive because that's a good dance.
Yeah,
It's a long dance.
I recognize the behavior to memorize something. Like I remember memorizing Bohemian Rhapsody because I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if I could just pull this out of my ass?
Yeah. Hell yeah. It is pretty funny. That's amazing that you do still know the evolution of dance.
No.
If,
Honestly, I feel like it would kind of come back to me though, as if I watched it again. I haven't seen it in, 15 years probably. That's too long. Like 11 years.
That would be. I'm telling you, if you were at a party and you were like, "Hey, do you remember the evolution of dance?" And someone was like, "Yeah, kinda," and
Yeah.
you whipped it out
Vaguely. I pull off a sweatshirt. It's an Orange Crush shirt. They're like,
You were
why do you
ready.
have that?
He's the only man who has that shirt.
They're like,
How did
oh,
you
that's
get
why
that?
you were wearing bad jeans
He
to go
does
with-
have bad jeans.
to go with the Orange Crush shirt.
Oh my god, that would be amazing. Though I would give you a standing ovation for sure.
Thanks, man. I would just do it
Fantastic.
for you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Um,
I don't know who else was. That's it, right? Those are the two.
next up we have Howard's End,
R.I.P. Howard.
or as I like to see. I was gonna say I like to call it Howard's Tushy. It's based on the E.M. Forster novel, James Ivory Joint.
Nice.
It's a very famous novel. I don't really know what it's about, though. Let's see. A saga of class relations and changing times in an Edwardian England on the brink of modernity. The film centers on liberal Margaret Schlegel, who, along with her sister Helen, becomes involved with two couples, wealthy conservative industrialist Henry Wilcox and his wife Ruth, and the downwardly mobile working class Leonard Bast and his mistress Jackie. You're sleeping. You've fallen asleep.
Snoozer.
You have fallen asleep.
I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's awesome. I'm sure it's like really cool.
I'm sure it's really movies.
I'm sure it's so totally movies, I bet.
So that's a no for Howard's End.
Sorry, it's probably a masterpiece, I'm sure.
And finally, I already mentioned it, but we have Scent of a Woman,
Hooah.
a Martin Brest film starring fucking Al Pacino,
Nice.
Chris O'Donnell, James Reborn. Ever heard of him?
No.
You'd probably recognize him if you saw a picture of him.
Okay.
Charlie Sims is a student at a private preparatory school who comes from a poor family. To earn the money for his flight home to Gresham, Oregon for Christmas, Charlie takes a job over Thanksgiving looking after retired U.S. Army officer Lieutenant Colonel Frank Slade, a cantankerous middle-aged man who lives with his niece and her family. Guess who plays the cantankerous old man?
I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't.
So those are the nominees. I've never seen Scent of a
Cool.
Woman, never seen Howard's End. I've only seen fucking Unforgiven in this lot.
I like to imagine Al Pacino was like begging, like he read the description like cantankerous middle-aged man who lives with his niece and is like, that's gotta be me.
He's like, I've never identified with a movie so hard.
This movie is me.
If there's one word to describe me, it's cantankerous.
Honestly, cool word.
It
I would
is a
like to
cool
be
word.
described as cantankerous one day.
I like the
Pretty
sound
sweet.
of it.
Yeah, me too. Cool. Nice nominees. I'll have to check
Yeah.
some of those out. Maybe not that snoozer, but other ones sound good.
You got some reviews for us?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. We're going to learn the truth about this film, Unforgiven. The people, they might forgive, but they sure as hell don't forget. Not anytime soon. So I found some reviews online, the internet, that we all know and love, for this film. Do you mind if I recite a few to you?
Yeah.
This is not off the dome. I actually have this. I do have this in front of me. Give me the name of a diehard conspiracy theorist.
What the fuck's Donald Trump's? Is his name Don? No, what's his son's
Don
name?
Jr.?
Yeah, Don Jr.
Okay. Wow, here he is. Donald Trump Jr. writes, 1.5 stars. Clint Eastwood is the George Bush of cinema, and this piece of dog shit is Clint's 9/11.
God.
Jesus Christ. Don, take it easy.
That's it? That's the whole review?
That's the whole review. I don't really understand it.
Right.
1.5 stars. Give me the name of somebody.
Wait till they watch Gran Torino.
Yeah, wait till they. I assume Don Jr.'s not watching Gran Torino. Good movie though. I like Gran Torino.
Yeah, I don't know how it holds up, but that's for a different podcast.
We'll talk about it.
The Hold Up Show is what it's called. And we
The Hold Up Show.
review movies that we remember but haven't seen in a long time.
All right, cool. Bookmark it. Give me the name of somebody who's just feeling a little anxious this morning.
Me.
Michael O'Brien says 1 stars. I was anxious to know whether he went into dry goods after. Luckily, he did. Thank goodness. Thank goodness he did.
That's really good.
For the sake of some balance, actually,
how many stars was that person? How many stars?
That was 1 star. Give me. Actually, I don't know why. I don't know why this particular review tickles me so much, but give me the name of somebody. Give me the name of somebody from the Netherlands.
Alexander Skarsgård.
Okay, Alexander Skarsgård says 4 stars.
Is that the Netherlands?
I don't think so, but 4 stars.
All right, people. I don't really know geography.
This is the second film I watched Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman acting together. The first one was $1 Million Baby. Both of the movies are great. Highly recommend to watch both of them.
That's so boring and earnest.
Like, who cares? Dude, like, who cares? I'm sorry. It's the internet. Say what you want, but
it is really funny to just be like, this is the second film I've watched with these two actors. Okay.
I don't give a shit, dude. I don't care.
And
all right, that's what I'll read. 1 star. Give me the name of someone who was dressing as Michael Myers for Halloween.
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter says 1 star. Can't see shit. Also, straight up didn't like it. Okay.
I don't think the movie is very dark.
I don't like. Can you just not see? Is this a commentary on Schofield Kid, the character?
Right. Does this person have like sight stuff, or is it like they forgot to turn up the brightness on their screen?
The brightness on the TV is like at 1.
Yeah.
They just can't see
anything.
I can't see shit. This movie sucks. Sorry, I feel your pain, John Carpenter. I feel your pain. That's it. I think that really sums up the general consensus of this movie accurately and without prejudice.
All right. So next week, I'll contextualize it in the episode itself for covering this movie so soon. But next week, we're talking about 2007 Best Picture winner, The Departed.
Oh, The Departed.
Directed by Martin Scorsese.
Nice. Cool.
So I don't know, go to Boston and buy a donut. Break it apart, sprinkle the donut dust over a hot dog.
Delicious.
Dip that hot dog in a sort of like the Pillsbury or whatever, like Betty Crocker vanilla frostings. Make kind of a sweet little treat out of that salty dog.
Honestly, it's probably pretty good.
And then cram it in your mouth and go to a Red Sox game.
Red Sox. Go Sox.
Throw a hot dog at David Ortiz. I don't know what you want me to
He's
say.
not playing.
Yeah, I
Also,
figured he probably retired.
Don't throw food on the field.
Throw a hot dog at Johnny Damon.
Yeah, throw a hot dog at Johnny Damon if you can.
All right. See you next week.
Wieners.
1, 2, 3, 4. These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that bops. Oscar bait, black and white. Maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners.
I was gonna sing a parody song.
I look asleep.
I don't remember what it was though. So
Was it Katy
there goes
Perry?
that bit. Yeah, actually. California Earl, he's undeniable.
California Earl.
Farm fresh greens and pasta on top.
What is this a parody of? I don't understand. Who is Earl?
He owns a farm stand on the side of the road
Good
in
for him,
fucking-
I guess.
in fucking Laguna.